You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
All right. Welcome back to the Slow Ride Podcast.
Hey, Spencer, did you hear me? I'm here. Did you miss me?
We are not Timless.
Thank God. Tim's back.
No longer
Welcome.
Timless.
Welcome to the 55th episode of the Slow Ride Podcast.
Hi.
Was that smooth enough? It's good to have you guys. This is a show about bikes, life, cycling, rumors, straight from the source. Great stuff. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm coming at you live from the suburbs of Baltimore, Maryland, where I'll have you know I skipped going to medieval times by myself this evening to record this podcast.
Oh, crap. Why didn't you do that?
Because you guys wanted to do the podcast on Monday night.
Why couldn't you record the podcast from medieval times with the jousting sounds in the background? That would have been amazing. And occasionally someone would have come along and said something in old English. Hark, shall I refill your drink, me lord? And you would have said, I'm doing a podcast now.
These are the sacrifices we make, and I don't think people understand, the grind that is producing a professional podcast such as this one. So, it's good that you bring that up.
I could be watching TV.
Here you go. Ready?
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Wait. 5, 4, 3, 2. Talk about you.
Hey, I'm Little Guy Matt. I'm in Minneapolis. I just ate a pizza in honor of the Giro.
All right. That's pretty sweet. And I'm Spencer Howe. I'm located in Boston, Massachusetts, here for all of your cycling advice, rumors, and everything else that we talk about on this podcast.
Are you still cat sitting?
I am cat sitting. There's one cat in the room. I don't know where the other one is. I am hoping it's still in the house.
You dropped the ball.
Hey guys, I do want to say thanks for hosting a wonderful episode last week. It was really nice to hear two educated cycling opinions, and I don't understand why everyone gets so mad and angry about our podcast. It's just nothing but great news.
I thought so too. Though we definitely dropped the ball last week because I didn't connect something about Revelin now to a hat that you own.
That's true.
That one up.
You kind of got taken out on the Twitter feed, and we'll go to that.
I kind of dropped the ball on that one. I'm sorry.
I was definitely thinking that in the moment, but I didn't want to call you out.
You gotta give me a sign, man.
Guys, we have a pretty full agenda, but definitely the biggest news for a lot of our listeners that I think we do need to discuss is that USA Cycling does have a new chief executive officer. No longer will USA Cycling need to create new categories at obscure national championships like the Fat Bike Nats for Steve Johnson to win a national title. Now we will have a new leader, and that is Derek Bouchard Hall, who is a former Olympian and elite-level racer, including national criterium champion.
Cool.
And he comes from a pretty good business background where he went to, Stanford, Harvard, Princeton, probably some other Ivy League school.
He went to all of them, yeah.
And then he led Wiggle, which is the enemy of every independent bike dealer. But then again, he's not, he's running USA Cycling. He's not running Independent Bike Dealer Network.
Yeah.
So welcome. And Adam Meyerson, one of our guests here on the podcast, about 2 or 3 years ago, made a very important tweet about this, and I will dig that up from the archives for you guys to take a look.
Okay.
Check your filing folder. Find it.
It's beautiful.
So
it's really exciting to have a new president who seems... I don't know really anything about him except what you just told me.
Yeah, we can't do worse.
I like
right?
it.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that he's an actual racer. I mean, this is someone... And
the last guy was a racer, too. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this,
obviously a
but he's a national champion in the fat bike masters category. So
the fact that this guy's a national champion of an elite level, so he knows what those pros are going through. He knows how to handle that, and hopefully he can bring some more sponsorship dollars with that racing or with that business background into the sport. And that's very, very exciting, if you ask me.
Can you make my crits not $22?
I think.
So you think $22 is too much money?
I think everything about bike racing is too much money.
I don't think I've seen a race for $22 since I moved to Massachusetts.
So
are all your races in the same spot?
No, they're all over the place. So that's nice.
Well, there you go. Then they're worth more money.
To put this into perspective about Derek Bouchard-Hall, the new USA Cycling CEO, in August of 2012, Adam Meyerson tweeted, "You know who we don't talk enough about when we talk about guys who had all the talent and quit instead of doping? Derek Bouchard-Hall." And that was Meyerson before Derek Bouchard-Hall became the CEO of USA Cycling.
A couple of years before.
A couple of years. And that type of endorsement to me speaks volumes of the type of character this guy is. And I think this is a huge coup for USA Cycling. And it fits the mold of Stapleton, who's now in charge of the board of directors, who led the hunt. It's like they're really clearing the muddied waters of Steve Johnson. And I think that that's really important here. We have a clean slate, and we've got the type of guy that's going to do awesome.
That's the full Super Rookie endorsement right there.
Well, he's destined to fail. Oh, that's terrible.
Crap. We cursed him. We just ruined bike racing in the United States. Everybody get your Wii Sport.
Get your ABR
stuff set up. Big news. Big news for USA Cycling. And we're done there. The other big news from minor news from USA Cycling was that it was Marathon National Championships in Georgia. Todd Wells beat Jeremiah Bishop for the national title in the men's. And then in the women's category, Rose Grant of Kalispell, Montana, won by about 30 seconds over Cheryl Sorensen of Pennsylvania. So
30 seconds? How long is this race?
It's a 60-mile loop marathon. So one giant loop. That's my understanding. Maybe there was like a 5 miles finishing circuit that they did a couple times, but it was definitely mostly an out and back. So I had a couple of my teammates from Gainesville that went up. They really enjoyed it. They said it was a very difficult course, and most of the times you're looking at were 4.5, 5-hour times. The women's champion won in 4:45, and then Todd Wells did it in just a little over 4 hours with Jeremiah Bishop right on his wheel.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Anyway,
Todd Wells is an amazing guy. He can race cross and then race these ridiculously long mountain bike races.
Yeah, I like Todd Wells. Bigger fan of his brother though.
Jake.
Yeah.
He's a mutter. His brother was a mutter.
They are brothers. So
I know, but his brother's brother was a mutter too.
All right, so can I? I know you guys want to talk about Romandy and the Giro, but last week I was yelling at my podcast machine when you guys were talking about various things. Cannondale Garmin being the worst team in the professional peloton this year.
Why? Because it's not true?
It's totally true. I totally agree.
Okay, I'm glad we're in agreement.
They're getting out chased even by non-Pro Tour teams like Wanty, Team Southeast. I mean,
Wanty's a much better team.
And Cannondale Garmin, the more I think about it, the more I get frustrated that Ted King made the team, but Phil Guyman didn't. And I hate to put them against each other, but it seems like they were going after the same spot on the team, perhaps. Kind of this American space on the Cannondale Garmin team that both have a decent following of fans. But Guyman seems to have quite the huge upside, and I just don't know if Ted King has it. He seems really good. I hope that he can do the tour one last time, but Guyman, to me, seems like the pick that they should have gone with.
What did he do last year in the World Tour? That was super cool.
Well, what race did he get to do?
Did they actually put him in a race?
Well, there you go. Why didn't they put him in a race?
Because they're Cannondale and they're all about making bad decisions constantly.
Well, they were Garmin at that time, but
they're Garmin because they were so busy watching Dan Martin fall.
That's true.
I don't understand why Guyman only got a 1-year shot and now he's back with Optum and he's doing quite well. It reminds me of what happened with Chris Horner when Chris Horner had his 1 year in France and then came back with Webcor and just started tearing it up. And then went back to Europe with Sunyar Duval, won a tour of the Swiss stage, and then moved on.
Almost won a tour stage, but he gave it up.
Because if I'm a business owner, Phil Guyman seems to be the ultimate package. He's all about being dope free.
Is this because he's from Florida? Is this a Florida thing? Is this a Florida pride thing?
But he's got the book that he wrote. He's got the Velo News articles. He's all over the Twitter. He likes cookies. It seems to me like the type of guy that you'd want to have on your team. And why another Pro Tour team didn't go after him, I'm confused.
Well, I mean, I don't know either one of them, and I'm not a team management, obviously, for any pro-level team. But Ted King seems like the guy who's willing to do the work for the team. He's like Sagan's, lead guy or chase down everything kind of workhorse guy, and maybe that's what they needed because they do have a whole lot of leaders on that team, allegedly, but not a lot of workhorses. And I think
allegedly is the key there.
Allegedly is key. Like their leader for the tour,
right.
for the Giro, is Ryder Hesjedal, who. Yeah, he's Canadian and once won the Giro, but come on, like Guyman could have helped him. And Ted King is really good at what he does, but they don't have Sagan anymore.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And Moser, he was good for 6 months 2 years ago.
Yeah, nobody cares.
I
don't think it matters. I think they had way too many cooks in the kitchen. They had to cut, 30 guys or something. Like I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass here, but the two teams merging together, they had to get rid of a whole lot of talent. There are a lot of guys who didn't get rides that should have. Guyman's probably one of them, but it's a bigger problem of budget and teams, and he could probably be riding for Wanty. It seems like they want all kinds of guys who aren't quite at their potential.
And that leads me to wonder, like, maybe he's just getting paid a lot more with Optum.
Probably.
So that it makes sense for him to be domestic, because those top-level guys are probably making some decent money in the States. But I just, like, another team didn't want him. Like
he probably had offers, but it's probably a matter of staying in Europe and working for somebody on, like, a 1-year contract, or coming back to the States and knowing you'll be a leader, and then you can hopefully then parlay that into, like, a better deal and a 2-year contract going back to Europe.
Big fish,
because if you get a
pond.
1-year deal and he has to go to some Euro team and they just tell him, like, you got to ride for Gilbert, and you got to lead him over the 5th climb of the day, then he's just gonna get sacked in a year.
Who would possibly want to turn down racing for Team Southeast and leading out Alessandro Pataki?
I kind of don't think Gavin would have been a good lead-out rider. I don't know why.
Anyways, I was thinking about this. I'm sad that Ted King will be retiring, but it is nice to see him out there, and I do love American riders. I also just wish that...
Put your lapel pin on.
I just wish Guy was still in the Pro Tour and given a real chance to race in the Pro Tour.
I agree with you. I mean, the real problem is there's just, teams folding left and right the last few years, and there's been a crunch. There's been more riders than there are teams, There's spots open in the Pro Tour at the end of last year,
So I got a text message from one of our common listeners, and all it asked was, hey, the Slow Ride podcast, instead of doing a 16th place contest, should do a contest for when Zacharin is going to get popped by WADA. And then I was like, who? And he wrote back, you're obviously not watching the Tour de Romandy.
It's true.
Yeah.
You weren't.
Well, we could do that.
We're all about the positivity here,
Kind of mean.
All about the positivity.
You never know.
Well, let's
he could be clean.
I for one welcome our new Russian overlords and tour winners. I think it's gonna, the Katusha's been working for a long time. They finally got all the mules pulling in the right direction. They've maybe they have the new protege. You never know.
Well, Ilnur Zakarin wins the Tour de Romandy. He climbed faster than Chris Froome. He looked smoother than Nairo Quintana.
And didn't look that amazing.
Yeah, so this is the new guy for Katusha. Perhaps he has a track record that is a little clouded, and he is on Katusha. But good for him. It seemed like a good race from what I've read. Like Eric Saunders said on our podcast, sometimes the write-ups seem a lot better than the actual action.
That mountain stage was good. I watched some of that mountain stage. I mean, Pinot won. That was pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was good to see him get a win. It'd been a long time since he had a top step of the podium, but I didn't watch anything else. So I only care about the mountains.
So we do have a new leader. And Littleguy, let's talk a little bit about Ilner's background.
All I know is he took some steroids. That's what I know. And he got busted.
When he was 19?
He's back. I think he was 19, yeah. The Inner Ring has a good little write-up today in his Ramondi recap. It's a good place to go because I didn't know this guy either. He popped up, and I felt like I remembered the name, but I don't think I did. I don't know. He's got a shady past.
So what about Romandy leading into the Tour? Is there anything to read from that as far as like Chris Froome, Quintana? Was Nibali there?
Yeah, he was there. I don't think there's anything to read in it. It's too far away. It doesn't matter. They're all going like Froome, Nibali, and Quintana are all gonna just go off in the mountains now and just ride up hills and watch their white blood cell counts go up for the next 2 months. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it matters at all. I mean, Pinot won, and that's probably a good morale booster for him. Bardet rode a good race. It's nice to see, but Roland and Pernard were off the pace, so our other French hopes weren't there.
The big takeaway, I think, from Romandy was the team time trial and AG2R being dead last.
I hate team time trials. God, they're the worst. They're going to ruin the tour. It's going to ruin the tour.
No.
What's
guys.
unfortunate is AG2R has maybe 5 potential podium placers on their team
they're all going to lose 5 minutes in this stupid team time trial because they're like helmets will fall off or they'll put their helmets on backwards or something. Oh shit, what's going on?
So they're the new Euskaltel of team time trials?
Basically.
And they're not the new. They've been for a long time. It's terrible.
So let's talk real quick. How did the Gummy Bear do in Romandy? Did he help in the team time trial, or was he the anchor
Obviously
that helped him
not. No, he didn't finish too poorly all the time. He's whatever.
So,
he's there. I don't know what he's doing, like what his purpose is.
How many of these guys at Tour of Romandy are continuing on to the Giro, which is starting
I'd
soon?
say a handful of. The Gummy Bear is.
The winner.
Okay.
The winner is.
So, Carlos Betancourt, right, the Gummy Bear, who's starting to look fit, is going to the Giro, where he's going to be riding in support of Dominica, what's his, Posavizo? Sorry. So, thanks for bailing me out there on the name pronunciation.
Uh-huh.
You're welcome. Yeah, he will be riding in support of him, and I don't know. He's whatever. He's the Gummy Bear. He's a complete enigma.
They're a pretty stacked team.
They're always a stacked team, but then there'll be a team time trial, and it will all come undone.
Is there a team time trial in the Giro this year?
I don't think so, because the Giro is not for freaking idiots like the Tour de France.
Okay, so the Giro is coming on. Let's talk about that. I mean, this is what people really pay the money for this podcast.
Yeah. That's to get your money's worth.
It is my favorite Grand Tour.
You don't even know if there's a team time trial.
The leader's jersey is pink. That's step one of why it's the best. Second is the trophy is pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. I've lifted the trophy. I felt the trophy. Good stuff.
The trophy filed a restraining order against you. Yeah.
Yes. And, overall, it's a fantastic event.
Oh, it starts with a team time trial.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why do they do that? That just puts all the good riders out of contention immediately.
Except for the media favorites.
It breaks hearts the first day.
How long is it, Loga?
The first time trial is 17K.
17K. That AG2R will only lose a minute max.
Yeah. The rest of I gotta say, every stage of the Giro looks ridiculous.
Is there going to be a lot of fireworks?
There's the first week and a half has a lot of bumpy roads. It looks good.
The stage I'm looking forward to most in the Giro is the first stage after the second rest day, or as it's popularly known, the 16th stage.
Oh, yes. Yes, an interesting stage indeed. I believe it is the most talked about
or it will be. Or it will be. Because the Slow Ride podcast is once again hosting a 16th place contest where if you correctly choose the rider that finishes 16th place on that stage, you're going to win some fabulous prizes. And so 16th place on the 16th stage of the first Grand Tour of the year, and it's going to be a big deal because, yeah, like I said, it comes after the rest day, so you never know who was resting properly in their hotel rooms and who's going to react well and who's not, and it's going to be total chaos, and it's a mountainous stage.
Yeah, that stage is
5 mountains. It's got 5 mountains.
That is almost the Queen stage of the 2015 Giro. There's going to be a lot of...
It's called the Queen stage.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've decided on what they want to be the Queen stage.
And right away, you start looking at some top names for who can finish, who's going to win that stage, and then you have to go, okay, who's going to be in that second group, or who's going to be the lieutenant? I will say this now. I'm calling my shot. If he's still in the race... If he's still in the race...
Whoa, are you sure?
Still there.
This is unheralded.
If he's still there...
Yeah.
This stage has Carlos Betancourt, the gummy bear, written all over it for 16th place.
Yeah, you can hope.
He's going to shepherd Domenico Pozzovivo to the lead. And then he's going to get dropped, and he's going to get 16th place.
He's going to drop to 16. All right.
I'm
not going to make my pick now because I want to beat you.
Yeah, I'm going to probably have to...
I do reserve the right to correct my pick at any moment.
I'm gonna not make an official pick right now, but I'm gonna give our listeners a tidbit. I don't actually know if he's racing, but if he is, this might be our Schleck stage.
Oh, I don't think there's a Schleck in the Giro.
Man, I really hope there is.
This is Eric Saunders. You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
The Giro is coming around, and Spencer, you went ahead and you did the dirty work for the Slow Ride Podcast, and you created our Velogames League.
Yeah, not only do we have a 16th place on 16th stage contest, we're going to have a Velogames league for the Slow Ride Podcast that's going to run through the whole tour. So you're going to have to log on to Velogames and create a team of 9 riders who you think are going to perform well throughout the league, and there are no prizes for that, just bragging rights for our listeners. And the league code you're going to want to enter, the league you want to join after you started a team is 050-13930.
And we'll put that in the show notes, and we'll also include it on our tweets from the Slow Ride Podcast Twitter account. Guys, how do you feel about this start list not having Europe car on there? It's kind of weird.
I mean,
it's not that weird.
Makes sense to me. They're going to have some little weird Italian teams and not some weird French teams.
I know. It's just, I was holding out hope that Dan Craven was going to be in this one so I could put him on my Velogames roster.
Yeah. They got to get back in the Pro Tour for that, man.
Yeah, so oh my guys, there's some good teams on here. Let's talk about Southeast. What an awesome jersey. They've got the gray jersey with way too many logos on it.
You in the gray jersey?
Oh, it's almost as good as the old LPR kit.
Yeah, that was a good one. Always you're like, wait, did it rain? No, their kit's just gray. I swore their kits were white and it just rained a little bit.
So I saw the press release for Team Southeast. They're putting all their marbles in the basket of Alessandro Patacchi. That's
just to deflect attention away and take the pressure off the Piccolo Prince's shoulders, because we all know when he gets too much pressure, he doesn't do anything.
There's no pressure.
I know we've discussed on the show and there's no pressure in pro cycling.
Yeah.
But just in case, you want to deflect the no pressure. I had an experience today on my bike. God, where do I begin? This was so good. I almost thought midway through this that you guys kind of had me set up like a candid camera kind of thing, and you had this guy acting out his part just to see what I would do. So I don't want to be a total jerk, because we're all doing our own thing on the bike paths. We're all in our own space. It's like a little comfort zone. You can wear your stupid outfits. and hopefully not get made fun of. I'm going to make fun of this guy.
We sure do wear our stupid outfits.
I was on the Cedar Lake Trail. You guys all know this. I left Aquila Park in St. Louis Park. I was going through the tunnel under Minnetonka Boulevard, and I heard on your left. So a guy comes by me on my left, full Mapei kit, top, bibs, socks, right?
I like it.
He's on a brand new Cervelo Super Aero, whatever the hell the Cervelos are called, Di2 squeaky chain. That's the first beautiful thing. Squeaky chain.
Di2, and it wasn't me. Okay, go ahead.
Squeaky chain, full Mapei kit. Quite a portly fellow. Kind of a stocky gent.
I feel like that's the Mapei kit demographic, though.
It is. But sleazy goatee and a ponytail.
So maybe maybe he actually was on Mapei back in the day, though.
Okay, so that's
was
what you
it. Marco Pantani?
You might
really
think,
alive.
Jesus.
Hey, this guy, Tim, he was never on Mapei.
Yeah.
So you think maybe this guy was on Mapei. But the pedaling style of this man was 15 blasted out pedal strokes and then desperate searching for air coasting for 15 seconds.
So he's
pedal, coast. Pedal, coast.
Was he doing standing starts or anything?
No, he just didn't know how to ride a bike. Anyway, also his saddle was too high, which was just awesome. That he spent like $10,000 on a bike and a kit, and his saddle was too high, and his chain wasn't lubed.
Brutal.
So anyway, he passes me, and then I keep almost catching up to him because he has to coast every 15 seconds. So about like a mile down the trail, he goes to get his water bottle, and you can't pedal and get your water bottle, right?
No, that's impossible. They've actually proven that in science.
It's totally impossible. So when he starts to get his water bottle, he goes from about 12 miles an hour down to like 5 miles an hour and starts kind of wobbling. So I go around him.
How long were you following this guy?
I don't know, like
were you drafting?
a couple miles.
It sounds like
drafting him.
Pretty sweet.
He
draft.
went by me. Like I said, like he went past me. He put in that big attack to get past me. He got 25 feet on me, and then it would come back to like 10 feet, and then it would go out to 20 feet and come back to 10, like constantly as we were riding, because he would do these little surges, and I was just riding along. I was just leaving my grandparents' house, just on a casual ride. So I go around him. I think, okay, he's going to get his bottle out, and then, he'll ride along, and maybe he'll catch me again. Well, I go to the top of a little rise in the trail. A little rise. Maybe the trail goes up 10 feet, and then it maybe descends down 20 feet the other side. Get to the very top, boom, attack on my left. He comes flying past me. This time, he has no breath to say on your left. He just puts in the move. He gets the gap, and I kid you not, on that descent, and I am being generous in calling this a descent, Aero tuck. Aero tuck. And now I've seen Tim get in the aero tuck, but this was the ugliest aero tuck I've ever seen in my life. One knee was splayed out. One elbow was splayed out the other way. And this isn't just like he got in the drops. Like he pedaled over the top of this 20-meter descent, and he got down like where you're like kissing the stem, and he got his back as flat as he could.
Was he sitting between the seat and the...
Didn't quite take it that far. Okay. But he was definitely trying to get his little arrow on.
So wait, one elbow out on one side and one knee out on the other side? Like some sort of majestic bird? Like...
Oh my God. Oh. This guy might have been the ugliest person I've ever seen on a bicycle in my life.
And he was in the Mapei kit.
Yeah. And so I started laughing. It was so funny. I wish I could have videoed it. I didn't, I didn't have my phone out, and it was like, oh my God, I started laughing. So he keeps doing the surging thing. Me and him are both kind of coming up to a rider, like on like a comfort bike, just kind of cruising along upright at like 5 miles an hour, go around him. Coming in the opposite direction is the U of M cycling team, like 6 riders from the U of M cycling team. My boy in the Mapei kit decides that now is the time to make his move over this slow-moving rider and cuts it really fucking close to taking out the whole U of M cycling team. What's the point of that other than you're a sweet Mapei rider?
Well,
and
when
then,
you're a professional, the rules don't really apply to you.
oh my God.
So
then
what professional would he look closest to?
None.
Well, he's too big to be a
None.
museo, even if he let himself go.
This guy
Could be a taffy? Could it be a taffy?
This guy was so ugly on a bike. You couldn't get past Cat 5 with this pedaling style. This was so bad.
So
I haven't even told you the best part. It's maybe not the best part, but it's the ending part, which is I was gonna get off when I got to Cedar Lake, so I could go over to Worth and ride around on some trails. So I got off, and he kept going straight, and I was going up the little ramp to the bridge, and I looked down, and that was it. It was over. He had started coasting, and he was like gasping, and he like pulled off and turned around. So my hope is that he noticed I had turned around off, and then the interval was over. Now that he didn't have the chase anymore.
Well, he put in the winning move, and then he won. So that's how pathletes are born.
Oh my God, you guys, this was beautiful. Really, when he got in that arrow tuck, I thought you guys were filming it. I thought there's no way that this can be happening. And I'm not like, someone didn't create this person just to watch me laugh at him.
Yeah, the Slow Ride podcast is going to have to secure a few more sponsorships to be able to have the resources to do something like that. But when we do, trust me.
That's why you need a GoPro.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't feel too bad. I mean, you did lose the race, but he was clearly on the Mapei development squad. So,
he's good.
It's nothing to feel ashamed about.
In my defense, he had a much more aero bike, and I think he had a lower rolling resistance on his tires.
That'll make a huge difference.
I think that's what it was.
I just like the fact that you were next to this guy for several miles. Like you could not find it within yourself to drop him or to just like slow up and get away from him.
It was more fun to just keep accidentally catching him. Like every like 30 seconds, like I'd be like right on his wheel, and then I'd get the surge. And then every time he coasted, it looked like he was going to pass out. It was beautiful. It was like watching a wounded dog ride a bike away from me.
The wounded dog.
Brutal.
So guys,
anyway,
we got. I like it. We do have Velogames starting up. We'll put the notes in there.
Yep.
We have the Giro coming up. Real quick, who do you guys think is going to win? I believe the win will be Contador pretty handily, in my astute opinion.
I think Iran's got this.
Oh, okay.
Iran.
And what about you, Spencer?
I'm going with the dark and dirty, to the depths of whatever. Aru. I think Aru is he's gonna come good. It's gonna be a big to do, and he has to win to avoid any sort of doping sanction.
Big to do about Aru.
So you think if he wins, the Italians will like just back off?
They'll have to.
Continue.
They'll have to. That's how it works. Unless you're an American
they even
tour
care.
winner.
I don't think I think the Italians are like, did he dope? I don't care. Did he win? He won? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Also, I hope Posavio wins, but I think Iran's gonna win. But I really want Posavio to win.
I have no idea who's gonna win. I just want to pick somebody different than you guys picked.
Who's your top placed American? Brent Brookwalter, Nathan Brown, Tom Danielson, and then we have the guys on the Giant team. We have
Tommy D,
Caleb Ferry, or Chad Haga.
Tommy D, dude, he's gonna get 16th place overall.
Tom Danielson is definitely going to be the top placed American.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with Dan Martin if he's in the race. If he's not, I kind of think Chad Haga might do well.
All right. Well,
hey, can I tell you guys something about Tom Danielson?
Yeah.
This is good. Tim, you gave me a pro cycling magazine in like 2004. 2004.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't know what year it is. I was like, man. So it's got this sweet section where it's like playing the drums with Danilo De Luca, hanging out with Ivan Basso, and then it says logging on with Danielson or Tommy or something, and it's got like a young Tommy Danielson. He's got a laptop out and he's sitting at it. Every time someone talks about Tommy Danielson, I think that picture of like a 21-year-old Tommy Danielson being like, I'm on the internet. It's just too beautiful.
Cycling journalism, it's really gone downhill.
It has.
Also, DeLuca was playing drums and he had a Sting poster behind him.
Well, that makes sense. That's kind of
think of that.
Guys, there used to be some really good, like cycling used to have characters, and now all we have is baby food eaters.
Baby food eaters, yeah.
Oh gosh, no one's gotten busted for doping in the last week. We didn't talk about the French thing, did we?
No, we
haven't.
French TV said that microdosing increases your skill level 6.7%.
Well, so it increases your VO2 by 6%, your EP or your blood levels by another small percent, blah blah blah. But all stuff that's within the realm of the bio passport wouldn't set off any alarms. Which, I think is no surprise to anyone. I feel like that information has been out there, that microdosing works, and that's what people are doing. Huge revelation. It was on the French news, so now everybody's squeaking about it.
So there's a nice depressing moment to end our awesome podcast.
Everyone's doping.
And everyone's doping.
Bits.
No,
I don't think everybody's doping. I think
no, not everyone's doping. You're right.
I think the point of the article was not to rely on only the passport, and then they have to keep doing all the other stuff they're doing too, and not get lazy.
The thing with the microdosing though is that you have to come test one of these guys like right after they did it, and the whole point of microdosing is you do it in that window when the testers can't come.
You know who's not?
This is a one-time. Froome was actually on the right side of something, not just the one time, but Froome was saying 24-hour testing.
Yeah,
and that is kind of like the only thing. As much as that would suck to be a rider and have to be tested at 3 a.m, that's like one of the few things that could actually stop people from microdosing. You know
who's not doping? Jurgen van der Broek.
Well, that's true because he's just gotten bad. Granted, he had a bad crash and he just hasn't ever been come back from that. But I know it's heartbreaking.
He's a good pick for your Velogames team. So join us at Velogames, 16th stage. We'll talk about that. We have a 16th place contest coming up. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher. And guys, I'm going to read a review. Oh no, can't because there hasn't been a review in a little while. So someone write a review. We'll read it on the air. You can also email us, theslowridepodcast@gmail.com, and find us on Twitter at theslowridepod.
All right. We'd like to thank BK1 from Ryan Sayers Entertainment for our theme intro and outro music. Love Lost, Love Found for being the voiceover on that as well. We owe her some donuts for that. It was an expensive, intro for us. So
you haven't bought her donuts yet?
No. Well, she got pregnant, so I don't know if donuts are good for babies or not.
Oh, you're right. Pregnant people don't like donuts.
I don't know. I don't know these things, but.
Mm-hmm.
So let's.
Oh shit! Actually, I wanna do. I had an idea and I forgot it until right now.
Okay, let's do it.
I want to get the story from you guys of your first bike race.
This was 2005. The Sibley County Road Race was our first race, I would say, together in which we went with hopes of finishing. We did a Durand road race.
I might have had hopes to finish, but I didn't.
And I believe I called you on the walkie-talkies about maybe 2 hours before the race started.
Yeah, and it's like a 2-hour drive?
And it's about a 2-hour drive. And I remember we drove down there, and this was actually, it was a tour of 10,000 lakes, but it was anybody could register. You didn't have to register for every stage. And you and I wanted to go do it, so we rushed down there, and we are pulling in with the car. And I want to say we were in the Buick Regal.
Oh, I think we're in the God, I forgot about the Regal.
Well, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. It may have been
wagon.
I thought it was the Regal, but it may have been the Saturn wagon. But that
I feel like it's the wagon because I remember when running back to the car, I remember the back of the wagon open and Caitlin mechanicing all our stuff.
So we pull in when the fields are getting staged.
Yeah, that was late. God.
So Caitlin, your much better half, is deciding she's like, I'll put the bikes together. So she's putting the bikes together. We run into the church, and there's some
We
old
ran, and it was far. That was our warm-up. It was like a quarter of a mile, and we had just sat in the car for an hour and a half, and then we both had to sprint
And we
like
told
a quarter of a mile.
We told the official, wait, we'll be right back.
Yeah, we'll
So
be right back. We probably had our bibs on, though, because we're
Yeah, and we're like,
Did you
we
have to
run
change
in,
in the car?
we get the numbers.
On the
Oh
way
yeah,
out?
like there was changing going on. We run, get our numbers. We're pinning numbers on each other, kind of that weird like. But that was when we were pinning numbers through the actual hole in the bib, the number bib. So like horrible
the
pin
whole
job.
store, right?
So there's a nice parachute on her back,
Yeah.
and Caitlin puts our wheels on the bike. And how she figured out how to work your bike, because it was probably some crazy brake systems and whatnot. But
super confusing.
my Salsa La Raza with a triple chainring was going to come in handy because of the nice.
Wait! You had a triple
Wait,
chain
you're
ring?
making fun of my bike.
Yeah, I
forgot that you had the salsa.
The Salsa La Raza triple chainring.
Oh man!
So we get to the start line. They graciously held the field for us, and you go down what
they do that.
It's like a 1.5 mile neutral start, and then you take a right-hand turn up a giant 3-mile climb. Like
instantly dropped.
One of the biggest. No, we weren't instantly dropped.
It's true. I got dropped at the top of the hill.
I think you maybe lasted a little bit more than me.
I got shelled right at the top of the hill. I remember looking down. I got shelled off the back, and I looked at my computer, and I was going 18, and I was like, I can't go 18 miles an hour. Boom, field's gone.
And then that course, like, there's a big descent later. Like 10 miles later, you go down the descent, giant square, and I thought for the life of me that I was going to catch people on the descent, and then I actually went down the descent, and that was the scariest moment of my life. And that was at that, and I remember going down the descent and seeing an ambulance on the side of the road. Someone had crashed, like there is every year, whenever that course happens. And
wasn't it raining?
Oh yeah, there was definitely some raining.
So wait,
and I think you dropped out, little guy.
I dropped out. I was
on.
sensible.
So you guys are Cat 5s. You've shown up to the race minutes before the field left.
Yes, we were the reason the field had not left.
One of you on a bike with down tube shifters, the other on a bike with a triple chainring. You both immediately dropped within the first couple miles.
And I have my Minneapolis Messenger Aero dress on, like the extra double XL jersey.
That's great.
I in my defense had my full dumpster outfit on.
You had the pink white combo.
It's raining on you. You're miserable. You're off the back. You're Cat 5s.
Yeah.
Why did you keep going?
Well, little guy quit, but I wanted to beat him.
Little guy, you quit?
I dropped out,
buddy.
And so then I hung out on the side of the course with Caitlin, and I'm pretty sure like the sun came out eventually, and we both got like a bunch of ticks on us just standing on the side of the road with Tim. And then obviously I was like, wow, this bike racing thing is great. I spent money. I got dropped. I felt miserable, and I got ticks.
Oh, and we couldn't wait to go back to the next race. This was when racing was fun. We were like, oh my God, we had zero expectations. And it was a Saturn wagon because about a month later, Spencer joined up. We went down to Super Week in the Saturn wagon. Okay. So this was before we had ever done a race and got to stick in a pack because the 4th of July crit was around the corner. We all did that.
Wait, you're getting ahead of yourself. Tell me more about this descent, Tim. I want to know how far out were your elbows and how upright was your position.
The elbows at that moment were probably pretty far out. The position, the bike. Oh man, a bike fit on that position would have been pretty bad. The descent, I did a fantastic. I didn't bring anybody back. I saw a giant ambulance. It scared the crap out of me, and ever since then, I haven't been able to go down a hill as fast as that.
That's what you say. That's what the story you tell in the therapist office. Yeah. I saw an ambulance. I stuck my elbows out. It was raining. I can't go down hills.
So wait, Tim, did you finish the race or did you drop out as well?
No, I finished. Okay. I did finish, and it got to the point that I felt kind of bad that little guy and Caitlin were there, but they did hand me a water bottle when I started the third and final lap, and they were like, you're doing great. You're going to catch them, or something like that, and I didn't catch anybody.
So you were riding by yourself for the whole race, pretty much.
I think there was one other guy, but then he dropped out after lap 2.
Okay. So that's a pretty miserable experience.
Oh, it was horrible.
What can we tell other people who are getting into bike racing who are also having miserable first races, which I think everybody kind of does?
It doesn't get better. Look at my career.
It doesn't get better. It just gets more expensive.
I mean, do we have any better advice? Can we give anybody a reason to keep racing their bicycles?
Embrace the suffering. I don't have any reason to do it.
The best thing to do is that the feeling you get when you finally are able to stay in the pack for a bike race is pretty awesome. Like when you get to the point when you're drafting and you're hanging out and you're having the dumb conversations and you just can finish with the pack and you make it to that moment that when that breakaway is going and maybe you go with it or not, that is a pretty magical moment, and it was probably one of the best feelings ever. And that happened to me at a Creighton Super Week, and I think I got like 45th place at the Creighton Super Week, but I finished with the pack, and I knew that at that moment I could do it.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with you on that.
Big flat crit, so, there's no descending.
Yeah.
I remember that crit. You did pretty surprisingly, shockingly well, even.
Yeah.
Weren't those the best times when one of us would finish in the pack and we'd all be riding home and we'd be like, dude, we killed it today.
Dude.
One of us got 45th.
Great teamwork.
Wow, that was awesome work.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.
I don't know. I don't know these things, but we're going to make it right, so don't worry.
Oh, shit, you guys, there's a cat out the window. We're all freaking out over here.